Let's do a little
4,
exercise.
1,
Element 115, essentially non-existent.
3, 4.
And he told police he was able to time travel because aliens filled his body with, you guessed it, alcohol.
See?
Boys!
You got to catch them all. You're thinking of got to catch them all, I think?
Yes, Ash Ketchum.
Yeah.
Yeah, after 10 years of being a 10-year-old, you'd think he'd finally grow up.
That's not how
He's
cartoons
100 years old?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, he might as well be, because, well, first of all, I think he should consider a new career choice here, because he's been, a professional Pokemon trainer for 10 years, and he finally became champion, in 2020. It took him 10 years. Come on.
Well, he was what's
and you're the
known
main
as a
character.
He was a
Wasn't
Pokemon
Pokemon a thing when
jabroni.
I was in middle school?
Oh, yeah, it's longer than 10 years, huh? So what is it,
it's
20
almost
years?
20 now, right?
Yeah, it took you 20 years to become champion? Come on, dude.
Is he even champion yet, or?
He finally became champion,
in
the last year. I mean, man, I'm telling you, consider a different career choice, kid. You should have stayed in school. I don't know what to tell you.
He's got to be making a lot of money on endorsements, though, right?
Yeah, he's probably got a YouTube unboxing Pokemon video or something too.
He's the
making money
best,
off of.
best-known Pokemaster.
Well, if Pokemon was any realistic, all of these trainers would have all these elaborate suits with all their sponsors on them.
Yeah, they
But
do.
they
There's
don't.
the one with the R.
Would they be on the
rocket power.
Pokeballs themselves too? Would the Pokeballs have?
Yeah,
all
yeah.
stamps
The
all over it
Pokeballs
as
would be
well?
sponsored Pokeballs by different Pokeball manufacturers. Yep.
Yeah,
It's
Team
like NASCAR
Rocket.
without the racism.
Yeah, they'd be sponsored by Pfizer and Amazon.
Yeah.
And, all the really big bad companies.
Yeah.
Ash is just sponsored by Professor Oak's Pokemart and the local sushi joint.
Yeah.
PETA would have a stake in it too.
Oh, absolutely.
sure.
Yeah. Well,
Sure.
actually, PETA in the Pokemon universe, they're a lot more intense.
Oh, for
They're a
sure,
lot
for sure.
more intense.
They're more of
Not
a Team
only
Rocket.
Protesting.
Yeah, they might throw paint on people wearing fur coats in our universe, but in your universe, they're opening all of your Pokeballs and letting your Pokemon free.
Yeah.
without
They
a
probably just
second
know
thought.
they break the Pokeball with the Pokemon in it, right? Isn't that their
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, they break it
They'd
and
rather
smash
kill
it
the pet than have someone keep it.
than have it fight. Absolutely. Yeah. It's dark.
What's their default Pokemon? They would have something super.
No, they don't have any They have
have
people
none.
They
dressed
just wanna
like Pokemon.
eradicate
So you wouldn't be walking down the long road near the tall grass, and it wouldn't be like trainer Peter member Pete wants to battle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except he would just
And
have
they would have a
weapons.
hammer.
Yeah.
He had a hammer in his hand.
ready to
Just
smash
get
your
ready.
Pokeballs.
Just smashing your Pokeballs. He's like, I don't care if that's a Master Ball. I'm smashing the shit out of it.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't care
And
if you
there's
found
always
that.
6 of them.
Yeah, right.
They're like
Found it using
they're like
dig.
Diglets, except instead of in the ground, they're in a van.
Yeah. It's a Van Trio or something like that.
The whatever the final form is has a private jet.
Final evolution.
Final evolution of the PETA.
Oh, that's
Pokemon
great.
universe.
So
Anyways,
we
welcome to
could
Beastie
have
Boys.
welcome to Beastie Boys.
No relation.
We could have a nice smooth transition from this sliver of Japanese culture to another sliver or several other slivers of Japanese culture. How does that feel?
Ghost Pokemon.
I'm down. I'm down for that.
I'm into
I
it.
mean there are ghost Pokemon.
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
Literally the
Gengar, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
Ghastly,
and
Haunter,
but then
Gengar.
there's the whole Cubone sub-story.
Yep, yep.
Where you're searching for Marowak. It's ghostly mother.
Oh,
dead mother
yeah.
that's been crying out for
That's
years.
That's whose skull he's wearing too, isn't it? Isn't
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Skull.
Oh my god.
Cubone wears the skull of its mother as a helmet. It's very, very sad.
Dude, the
Japanese
first
culture is very spooky.
the first
Some Disney
generation of Pokemon were so hardcore when you look back on it. Like you got
Hell
Cubone wearing, you know, like the dead skull of its mother. You got Pokemon
You got
that
Squirtle.
are literally no, but you got like Pokemon that are like literally spooky ghosts, right?
Yeah.
You got like Drowsy who like hypnotizes you and enters your dreams and like feeds on your dreams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you look at the newer generations
Krueger.
and they're like, here's a Pokemon that's an ice cream cone. Get out of here.
I love Liquid.
Oh, we know how Mitch feels.
I like that stance. I love that stance.
The old ones were cool though. What was the guy the coughing one? The
Coughing.
Oh, coughing
was
and
coughing.
K-O-F-F-I-N-G.
That's
this
right, yeah.
his evolution was wheezing, wasn't it?
Wheezing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Little known fact: coughing was actually based on Franz Kafka.
What?
Fun fact.
Is
a
that
fun fact?
how much truth is behind that fact?
I used words.
Okay.
Words
was
can
fun.
be facts.
I suppose this is
Definitely
much
fun.
truth as you need these days.
They're all real words involved.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Japanese ghosts is what we're
Yeah.
talking about today, guys.
Yeah, Japanese ghosts and video games. Those both tie into my subject for today a little bit.
Oh, okay.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So, if we want to take a little bit of a jump to another Japanese video game, we can talk about Mario. And a lot of people probably know more about Mario than they do the subject that I'm about to talk about, which is called Tsukumogami, or spirit tools.
Oh.
So
Hell yeah.
they are, that's how it's directly translated, spirit tools. And there are tools like that have got their own spirit, basically. So haunted objects, as opposed to a real life being. But they also have been known to inhibit the spirits of animals. And mostly throughout the Japanese culture, the animals that they sort of embody are tanuki, which some people might know from the Mario universe, right? Super Mario World 3 or no, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
in Super Mario World, and it continues. There's the appearance of a tanuki. And Mario can become a tanuki, and he flies and he attacks his opponents with his spinning tail, right? And he can shapeshift into a statue.
Yep.
And
people that don't
Yeah.
know too, the tanuki is like a raccoon dog. I don't know if some people don't know that, but
yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
there yet.
Balls.
Okay, I'm not fucking there yet.
Oh shit! Sorry.
But also, there's the super leaf, right, which turns him into the raccoon, which is right, like Jarvis said, a raccoon dog. So tanuki is a type of, it's specifically a Japanese raccoon dog, and it is this cute, it looks like a raccoon. It's a little bit skinnier. Not here present in the Americas, but
Tom
there are a
Nook.
bunch of
Tom Nook.
yeah, Tom Nook is another thing.
He's a raccoon.
But more specifically, the leaf is a symbol of this sort of inanimate object that embodies the spirit of a Tsukogami. Tsukumogami. And it's a super leaf in these games. It gives him ears, and he flies, and he's got tail attacking abilities. But the power up is based on the mythology of spirit tools and the tanuki that uses leaves to help transform themselves. So basically, within the culture, any inanimate object that has been around for 100 years gets its own spirit.
oh, cool.
And this dates back to the 7 and 800s when this first sort of started. But there's been so many stories from then until now that the lines have become incredibly blurred, and basically what it breaks down to is objects that live for more than 100 years or around for more than 100 years. They get their own spirits, and they can sort of these spirits can embody different things. And most of the time, it's an object, but sometimes it's an animal, and it's usually a tanuki, right? So there's all these different objects that in the culture end up getting thrown away or discarded before they reach 100 years because it's a bit of a superstition.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the objects are relatively fun in nature, and they're gonna pull pranks. Is how it goes in culture, So, but then sometimes there's more spooky tales, there's futons. There's stories of futons being embodied by spirits, right? Because you have a bed and it's sort of around for a long time. It's something that you get, and they will eat people. The futons are stories of these futons eating people. Yeah, or there are demon mirrors that make you look like your worst nightmare. And one of the most fun ones that I found was like these umbrellas, and
Oh,
they're
and these,
umbrellas that will
the
they're-
living
yeah,
umbrella
they're like
monsters.
super prominent in anime, and,
yeah.
like, in Japanese culture and in art. There's something that like kids doodle a lot, but like basically it's an umbrella that or a paper umbrella, right? And it usually has like one eyeball.
Yep,
Sometimes
yep.
it will grow limbs. It'll have like one leg, maybe two arms, and it basically tricks you into using it during like a storm, and it will whisk you up into the sky and like basically kill you, right? So it finds these it tricks people to using it on a windy day, so it just like pulls you up into the sky. And
How nefarious.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's
Damn.
but like most of them are like harmless, and they say that
Okay.
they pull like little pranks. So when you like leave the house and you could have sworn you shut all of your windows, but they're all open. That is a spirit tool. Like, you know what I mean? It's like that sort of thing. It makes you feel a little bit paranoid, and that is how that has been described within this culture. But the thing that I find most interesting about these, like all these stories, is like I said, there are stories from like the 700s. Is like
Yeah.
there's so much more history behind these spirits than there are like the ghosts that we're familiar with here in the Americas.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
you might have things that date back to like Native American Indians and stuff, but a lot of the time it's like colonial, or even like you're talking about stuff that happened in like the 1900s.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
someone that
yeah.
died in a train station in 1910, and they've like haunted the locomotives there for the last 110 years. It's so much different than like this sort of story that's been told and retold for like thousands of years at this point, And so I think it's very interesting how it gets as silly as like an umbrella that is going to whisk you away to your death. But at the same time, like if you're superstitious enough, and, you see an umbrella on the side of the street, maybe it's raining out, you're not going to pick up that umbrella.
Yeah.
Because it's
For sure.
it looks a little bit old. It's been around for 100 years, and it's gonna kill you.
The umbrella too is so relevant in Japan, being like a tropical island. It rains at least once a day in the summertime and stuff. So it's kind of funny to think that there's a group of people over there that are like terrified of umbrellas. Because you walk into any store over there, and there's always like a take one, leave one umbrella rack, like in every single store. So it's funny to think like someone could walk into that and just be absolutely terrified of this friggin' box of umbrellas. It's kind of funny.
One's tattered and it looks like it was bought, in like
Yeah.
sub underground shop. It's
I wanna
got,
watch that
mystical
movie.
writing in the handle. Yeah, that's a good movie. Yeah.
It's really interesting that like it seems like Japan, they kind of put ghosts into objects, like you said, and over here we look at more of like a human ghost,
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
we don't have as much like haunted item. Sometimes it's haunted. I guess like Annabelle
but-
could be considered a haunted item
Sure.
object. But our ghost stories I feel like are more formulated around someone being murdered, or someone who is just stuck at one place in time.
Yeah, I
Does
want more
the-
haunted stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's 100
say,
years
Mike?
old, right? Does the spirit come out of it based on the age, or does the spirit inhabit that item once it reaches the age? Because I feel like here,
It becomes its own spirit. Is like
I
how
feel
it
like
is
all
told. So
our shit, like
once
Jarvis
it's
was
reached
saying,
100 years,
all our shit is a ghost that
No, you're right,
something,
yeah.
right?
absolutely right.
Interesting. Yeah, that's really cool.
So it reminds me of I heard a theory once when it comes to ghosts, and like why a lot of the ghosts that we always see are, like John said, like colonial or Victorian era, right?
Yeah.
I heard somebody, granted, take with a grain of salt, but they proposed the theory that since ghosts are theoretically tied to energy, and that energy technically, when it's not being used, kind of just dissipates over time and like goes in all different
We talked
directions.
about this.
Right? Yeah.
previous episodes.
Basically, the idea was as a ghost gets older, it starts to lose a lot of its energy and kind of just, dissipates. And that's why you only really see ghosts around here from like the colonial era or the Victorian era. Because like even in like Europe and stuff, you don't really hear a lot of ghosts of like ghost stories of like, oh yeah, I was in the fields today and I came across this ancient Roman centurion ghost.
Right.
You know, right? You don't really, you don't hear stuff like that. So, and eventually the energy just gets spread out over time to the point where like the ghost, even if it's still around, can't like materialize or whatever. But on the flip side, if you're thinking of it like contained within an object, right? Then think of it as in, you know, like a bottle of water, right? That water, even when it turns into water vapor, right? Even if that's if that bottle's tight enough, that water vapor is not gonna go anywhere. You know, it's gonna stay in the bottle. So there you go.
Longer lasting spirit.
Yeah, in a sense. So that
Right.
could be a reasonable explanation for that.
Or a way to contain the spirit.
Exactly.
Like the traps the Ghostbusters use.
More or less, yeah. Same
Just
same
like
base,
those traps.
same
What do
basic principle.
I looked into the trap, Ray.
Don't look in the trap.
Yeah, so that's cool. Man, that's like a rabbit hole. I would love to dive deeper.
A raccoon hole, but yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Or raccoon hole. Yeah, Tanuki hole.
Yeah, exactly. So
Rock
yeah,
hard.
that's my story for the week. You got any questions?
Did you get into anything about how like the Tanuki like they turn to stone type of thing? Because I know in Mario he turned to stone when he stood still, and I know that's like kind of like a theme that goes through the Tanuki where like turning to stone as like
There's
a
another
defensive
theme too, right?
mechanism.
Yeah, but that
I mean,
really
they're always
that doesn't
rock
really
hard.
have much to do with Tsukumogami.
Okay, so
it's
that
more
wasn't-
has to
that's
do
more
with
of-
like the Tanuki and the lore of it, which
Okay.
yeah, but if you want to go on Amazon and look for some great statues with maybe big balls or small balls on said Tanuki statue,
Why did
I don't
the
really know
leaf-
why.
I want to know. I want Shigeru Miyamoto on the phone, and I want to ask him why the leaf
The
did not
Nintendo
grant
dude?
Mario. I want to know why the leaf did not grant Mario large balls.
Yeah, and also
If he doesn't
don't
use those balls to
Google
fly.
Big ball Tanuki.
Although you know what I just thought of was all right. So in Mario 3 with the Tanuki suit, he doesn't use like his balls to fly or anything or like that. He spins his
Which he
tail.
should.
But
Right.
Missed opportunity.
if you guys remember Super Mario World, right? When he gets the cape, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He can spin.
The way he flies with the cape is he pulls it over his back, right?
Yep.
And he
Yes.
like
Very
bounces on it,
similar.
which is very similar to how the Tanukis fly with their ball sacks. So
That is correct. They would stretch out their scrotums to use sort of like a paraglider type of.
yeah,
Like a sugar glider.
Yes.
And I don't like that they neglected the balls in the third one, but it feels like, based on Mitch, what you just said, that because 3 was a big deal and they were going to make it, like wider audience. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Super Mario 3 is in the movie The Wizard. It's like it was a big deal.
Yes, it was
Um,
huge,
Yeah.
huge
For
push
an
that.
American
Sweet
audience,
movie.
they make him fly by doing the helicopter instead.
Yeah.
of-
Yes.
So they sacrifice
Just like Tails.
Mm.
Japanese culture for the
Tails.
American.
Interesting.
That's the only
Although
explanation.
I would have been cool if they just brought the balls over here and like made his sack flat. I mean, I could see why American audiences couldn't take that.
Yeah,
but
it
I'm
kind of
so
makes
into
sense for
that.
a kids game that they left that part out, but I don't know. That's just me.
Game for kids.
That's just me. Yeah.
Like what Mitch was saying,
Well,
there's
let's
only a
start-
couple pixels missing, and then
Yeah.
that's essentially in the game.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
essentially
Right,
in
you
Super
just
Mario
have to-
World.
You
So
just have to like puff out his overalls a little at the bottom a little more, and then
yeah.
Oh my god.
No, my umbrella stinks.
Good old Tanukis.
Mm.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Sweet spirit tools. I'm into that. That's
Thank you.
rad.
Spirit
I
tools.
don't,
Get haunted things.
I'm trying to think. My story doesn't have any spirit tools in it.
Well, you're transitioning nicely either way, so that's I mean,
yeah.
that's,
So
you
I'll,
know.
so we'll jump into my story next. I did sorry, let me pull it up real quick. I'm an idiot. So the name of the story is Bancho Sarias Shikiri. Please pardon my pronunciations.
Hips don't lie.
I'm gonna butcher most of it. So the story I chose to kind of dive into is about a woman and her plates. And this story, I'm sure you all have come across the Americanized version of this, The Ring. with the girl in the well and who haunts people. It's all based on this story. This story has been changed like zillions of times since it was first told, which was do I have a date here? It looks like 1741 was the first time the story was told. And so what I'm going to do, I want to just jump right into it. I'm going to read you guys the story. It's not very long, but it's pretty interesting, to say the least. And you can you'll see some of the parallels of where the kind of the haunted well and the black-haired lady and all that stuff kind of derives from this story. So I will start. This story, it's called Okiku. This is the adaptation of that story. And excuse me, to start, Okiku was the name of a servant girl who lost a precious plate. I'm sorry, I'm reading the synopsis here. Let me get into the legend. Here's the legend. Long ago, there was a woman named Okiku who worked as a dishwashing servant at Himeji Castle. Am I pronouncing that right, Mitch?
Himeji?
Himeji? Whatever.
Yeah.
Okiku was a very beautiful, and it was not long before she caught the eye of one of her master's retainers, a samurai named Aoyama. Aoyama tried many times to seduce Okiku, but each time she rejected his advances. Eventually, Oyama grew impatient with Okiku and decided to trick her into becoming his lover. In the castle, there was a set of 10 very expensive dishes. Oyama hid one of them and then called for Okiku. He told her one of his master's fine dishes was missing and demanded to know where it was. Okiku became frightened. Losing one of her lord's prized dishes was a crime punishable by death. She counted the dishes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She recounted them again and again. Each time she came up one short. Okiku was distraught. Oyama told Okiku that he would overlook her mistake and tell his master that it wasn't Okiku who lost the dish, but only if she would become his mistress. This came back from a search. Oh, my phone's trying to talk to me. It tells his master that it wasn't Okiku who lost the dish, but only if she would become his mistress. Though Okiku wanted to live, she once again refused Oyama. This time, the samurai became furious. He ordered her servants to beat Okiku with a wooden sword, which is brutal. Afterwards, he had her tied up and suspended over the castle well. He tortured Okiku, repeatedly dunking her head into the well, only to pull her back out to the water and beat her himself. Oyama demanded one last time that Okiku become his mistress. She refused. So Oyama struck her violently with his sword and dropped her body down into the well. Not long after, Okiku's ghost was seen wandering the castle grounds night after night. She would rise from the well and enter her master's house, searching for the missing dish. She would count the plates, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. After counting the 9th plate, she would let out a blood-curdling scream that would be heard throughout the castle. She tormented Oyama in this way every night, robbing him of his rest. Those who heard part of Okiku's counting became very sick, and those unlucky enough to hear her count all the way to 9 died shortly after. Finally, the lord of the castle decided that something had to be done about Okiku's ghost. He called a priest and asked him to pray for her and exorcise her spirit. The priest waited in the garden all night, chanting sutras. Once again, Okiku's ghost rose out of the well. She began to count the dishes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. As soon as Okiku counted the 9th dish, and before she could scream, the priest shouted 10! Okiku's ghost appeared, relieved, and someone had found the missing dish. From then on, she never haunted the castle again.
Oh, what?
It was that
Hell
easy.
yeah.
It was that easy.
That's awesome.
If only Naomi Watts figured that out in the ring, she might not have been.
Can you imagine
The 9 and the screaming.
all the people
he fucking
that
snuck it in there
died,
real quick, a little,
all the people that got sick,
or got sick?
that was all it took?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just say 10 right when she said 9.
You would think like
Oh my
someone
God,
like
so,
would
yeah.
have known the second run through after you got really sick the first time and almost died. Then you're there, you can hear her count because that's how you fucking, you're like 8.
Yeah,
God.
But yeah, once again, like really, not so much a haunted object, but kind of an object that
Within the story that's important.
made someone haunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So having all those plates,
An obsession.
yeah, really fucked with her. And you can totally, just by reading this, you can totally see the parallels with The Ring, with the
for sure.
the 7 days, the girl in the well, making people sick, that type of stuff.
And
obviously
even
it's been readapted.
Even with The Ring, going back to the spirit tools and everything else, right? That's about a haunted, So
haunted VHS tape.
Yeah, so there you go with the gap being bridged and the ideas coming together shows you how much more interconnected all these cultural stories actually are when you start digging into them. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't even think of that with the VHS tape. It's like they took a part of their culture and melded it into the story. It's pretty fascinating. But yeah, so there's hundreds of versions of this. It's been done in plays. It's been done in mangas. What's the name of their the plays over there? What do they call it?
Kabuki.
Starts with a B. Kabuki, yeah.
Kabuki theater.
There's been Kabuki plays about it. It's a pretty interesting story, and you can see it's still kind of. With The Ring, it's still kind of like permeating pop culture now.
Yeah.
The story of this woman who kept turning down being a mistress, which is kind of brutal, but also it kind of shows you that Japanese, like the domination of men and women in Japan, and kind of how like it's the servient end of how they look at relationships. It's interesting.
Yeah,
It's interesting
there's
the
definitely
story
a
is
lot
told.
there culturally to unpack.
I
if
never
you
saw
want
the
to
movie.
Take the time
How
to
does
analyze
it get?
it.
How does she get tied in with the VHS? Like, how do they trap that?
I don't think they ever talk about that. They just find the tape. Yeah, like the movie starts with like a bunch of teenagers watching the tape and then ending up dead. I don't think they ever went into the origin of how she went into the well. I never saw the later movies. I never saw the sequels or the.
I've only
new
ever
one
seen
that
the
came out a
first
couple
one.
years ago.
It sounds like it's based on this same ghost, right? So theoretically, you could say that this was a tortured soul that ended up in the well, but now there's a videotape of the ghost, and then somehow that carries her curse with it.
Yeah,
I've never seen them.
it
That's
seems
what I'm
like.
asking.
So that,
That's a question.
yeah, it's totally.
Yeah, if you watch the video, you are then haunted by Samara, is her name, I believe.
Yes,
Oh.
Samara.
And she
Tia
will.
and Samara, I like that show.
She comes through the TV and she haunts you, and she
you die 7 days after viewing.
after you watch it. Yeah.
It's a. I remember being kind of terrified watching that movie when I was younger when it came out.
Same.
I don't know if it still holds up. I haven't watched it in a long time, but it's a good movie. It's worth a watch. Naomi Watts is really good in it. She's good at being scared, which is cool. But yeah, so that's my story of Akiku, which is
And he's sticking to it.
yeah, I'm sticking to it. I just thought it was really interesting.
It is cool. Nice
yeah,
vengeful
it's-
story.
Yeah, but it's so weird, just like plates. Like, why would plates?
Yeah, man, imagine being that mad over a plate that you kill somebody because it goes missing. That dude's an
technically he was-
asshole. All right?
He
But
may
he
go
was
missing.
But he was also upset that she wouldn't bang him, like, and be. his
Well,
mistress.
yeah,
So he
you
thought-
know.
deserved
Wait,
to
he
be
did
haunted.
it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't the guy
He
break
did
the
it.
plate? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
talking
he
about
did
I'm
it,
talking
and-
about the guy. I'm talking about the guy, not the ghost.
The samurai.
Yeah, I'm saying like that dude's just a fucking prick. Like imagine
Yeah, well, it's
being
not the
so
plate. He was just
upset
trying-
that a damn
trying to
plate
manipulate
went
her.
missing.
Yeah, no, he was trying to manipulate her. He made
Yeah.
the plate go missing. He took the
Yeah.
plate away on
So
purpose.
he could threaten
he
her
did?
with.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed
So he
that
could threaten
part
her.
of the story. All right.
So he could
Yeah.
threaten her with like the
Although-
shame of losing a plate that he actually lost.
Oh,
himself.
then
are-
He lost on purpose.
what a double asshole then.
Yeah.
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 But you're
Fuck
also
that guy.
correct.
Yeah, because
in
then
that-
he was beating her because of that.
Yeah.
Like,
But
what
the
a
law did
triple
exist.
asshole.
yeah, that guy was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That was a shitty samurai. Talk
But it's
about
not-
not living by the Bushido code.
Yeah, yeah.
It is not just him, because the law did exist and it was punishable by death. So before
Yeah.
this asshole even assholed, someone wrote down on paper that, if you lose one of the plates, death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he should have died.
Yeah, because he
Yes.
lost it himself.
Girl.
Good point.
Yeah, poor
point.
innocent girl, Okiku. Poor girl.
Mm.
Which also I forgot to add this in. Her name translates to chrysanthemum.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Chrysanthemum,
Absolutely
Which is a-
beautiful.
very pretty flower. You see it in a lot of Japanese artwork.
Mm.
Yeah.
Christine
I'm a
Anthemum.
big
Was
fan.
that the name of the ghost in
Christine.
America? Christine Anthemum?
Yeah, Christine
No,
Anthony.
that's a super popular OnlyFans page, right?
I
Yeah,
don't know,
I think
but I'm
so.
looking it
Yeah,
up.
It was on
Yeah.
the front page the other day, maybe.
Well, okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I don't go to that site.
Maybe I
I've
don't
never
know.
been
Yeah, I
there.
wouldn't know, but I'm pretty sure it was trending on. OnlyFans, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
That's where Mitch found his house painter.
Yeah, for sure.
OnlyFans house painting services.
Yeah,
Guys-
pressure washing and house painting in one.
Yeah,
Speaking
I don't
of
think that's the same pressure washing you think it is.
speaking of OnlyFans, I found other kinds of ghosts in Japan.
Oh boy.
Wow,
Good transition.
that was smooth,
Solid.
dude.
No, it has nothing to do with it. But you know, I use real words. I found two neat ones. So first, I want to give a shout out to this website you guys might have seen when you were looking stuff up. It's called Yokai YOKAI.com.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
this dude Matt put together like a compendium of all these Japanese ghost stories. So this is what I was peeking through instead of Wikipedia, which is normally my go-to when I'm first searching this stuff out.
This website was really good, Mike. I got
Super
that's where I
neat,
got my
and he's-
Kiko story.
And he's got books that I'm going to check out. I think he just released his third one. He's got Patreon where you can throw him $1 a month or like $10 and you get a postcard in the mail. And there's like these cool,
That's cool.
illustrated, like these old Japanese style illustrations to go with the story. Which
Oh, cool,
I
cool.
thought were extra appealing.
What's
So,
his name? Matthew Meyer. Let's give him a
there you
plug. Matthew Meyer is his name.
Yokai.com, YOKAI. And I'm jealous of the width and breadth that Japan seems to have culturally, especially for neat things like spooky ghosts. Because these are all things that, like, I never even would have, if you had me write down like all the ghosts that I could think of, I never would have pieced this stuff together. It's like Pokemon. I wouldn't have combined those two things.
Yeah.
Pockets
is
and
cool.
monsters? What the?
Yeah. Over here it was just
Wait,
pocket
that's what
pool
that
and you got in
means?
trouble for it. So the
that's
first brand of ghost or offshoot of spook that I found is called the Fudukeishi. Kaeshi. How do I pronounce that, man?
Okay.
Kaeshi.
Hi.
Kae.
Fudukeishi.
Yeah.
Keishi.
Keishi.
Fudukeishi.
Yeah. Fuda Keishi.
So Fuda means charm, and Fudakeishi means charm ripper. And the idea of this ghost is it will, like the spirit tools John was talking about, how some of them are tricksters and they will trick you into using them for your disadvantage. This ghost tries to trick you into removing your ghost protection. So, because ghosts, I guess, are so part of the culture. I mean, I guess it's here too. People burn sage and shit, even if they don't have any traditions.
Yeah.
They'll try and go through the process because we want to feel that kind of cultural connection to something, whether we have it or not. And I guess for good luck or for protection, you have charms and spells, like the Vikings had runes. So, as part of the culture, there's a story about this ghost or these type of ghosts that would specifically try and trick you into getting rid of that thing so that they can then have access to you for one reason or another. So it's just like someone with a gun and they see you have a bulletproof vest on and then they're like, hey man, isn't that vest heavy? Wow, you look tired. You'd be like, hey, you have a gun. I'm not taking this off. You're like, oh, this isn't a
I'm
gun.
sure you're getting sweaty under that bulletproof vest.
The only reason I have this gun is because you have that vest on. You take the vest off, I'm getting rid of it.
What a
So
sneaky ghoul.
Yeah, I got a kick out of that. And I guess this like there's a big story that they kind of talk about called The Tale of the Peony Lantern. Peony Lantern? I think peony's a flower, if that's what this is.
It is. It is
Yeah.
a flower.
And this particular story, I guess, is the most popular for this ghost. And it was kind of like sad rather than spooky because the ghost falls in love with the dude and eventually she gets him to remove his protection so that she spends the night with him, but she sucks his life out, and then he dies.
Ooh.
And I couldn't find
How
anything.
does she suck his life out?
Hey, that's none of my business. What goes on beyond the shoji screen? So that was tragic. I couldn't find anything like anybody elaborating how, because my mind wanted to be hopeful when I read this. I was like, oh well, he's dead, and now they could be together in the ghost world, tricking poor motherfuckers into taking their charms off. But I thought that was neat, and that was my focus when I was looking up these things. Because the other one that I picked is called Supon no Yurei, if I said that right. And this is a soft-shell turtle ghost. And the idea behind this ghost is that these turtles that you've eaten in like turtle soup or a turtle dish come back for revenge.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So supon is the word for the Chinese soft-shell turtle, and then turtles, you know, like they'll bite and not let go, so they have a reputation for like that kind of like tenacity and that kind of grudge holding. And this is like tanuki or a kitsune, which I think is a fox.
A kitsune is a fox spirit.
Yep.
So another mythological animal within the Japanese culture, and it has powerful abilities. They're also like long living, so you know if something reaches 100 years and then a ghost can inhabit it, that might be something that causes them to take on these powers. And then when I was looking on this site and then other ones for kind of the origins, there was a lot of people talking about that it might be because of the age of the turtle that they took on powers. It might be like the vengeful ghost because you ate them and you're trying to get them. There were a few stories. One that they talk about on yokai.com was a man who made his living by catching and selling the turtles. They were so pissed at him, all these turtles that he was killing, because it was his livelihood, that eventually they all manifested as a takanyudo, over 30 meters tall. So like this giant demon turtle embodiment of all the turtles that he wronged.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you think about like commercial fishermen and shit, and like, or you know, like somebody in
Hundreds
the,
of thousands of.
Yes, like if you showed up one day to your meat packing plant and then there was this turkey that was bigger than the whole plant, like black smoke coming out of its eyes, like you must finally pay for your sins. This is like if you gave PETA control of the Earth simulation. That's the kind of
Yes.
might come up.
And it would just be monsters of meat that attacked
Just
us.
eating people, and then there'd be no people left. Then that's the end of our story for everyone. So I thought that was super cool. There was another story that I read where there were these dudes that were eating at a restaurant, the supon, the turtle dish, and they noticed as they kept eating that the guy that was serving them looked like a turtle. So they started getting weird, like freaked out. And then they eventually ran out of the place, and then it specified that for not one, not two, but 3 days they were so scared and ashamed they didn't leave their house after this. And then then they like took it upon themselves to not eat turtle again. They got all freaked out. So because of these stories, like I said before, there are people that were trying to like, well, what was the point? What's like the moral? Because we don't have the summary Aesop fable for a lot of these. So just like most religious texts, you have to kind of pull out using your own lens what you think they're trying to say within the story.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's where the back and forth came in. It's like, oh, well, maybe it was to keep people from eating turtles, or maybe I read one take that this was like an overindulgence thing, like a cautionary tale why you shouldn't eat so much at like Thanksgiving, because the spirit of what you're consuming might come to punish you. Yeah.
AKA farts, right?
I like turtles. If you're eating a lot of farts,
Hey, what are you dressed as today, Mike?
I like turtles.
I like turtles.
I like
You
turtles.
make a great zombie.
I love that kid. Bless that kid.
One of the many
That is so-
legendary viral videos.
I love the idea of a turtle monster. Like
Yeah.
1,000 soft-shell turtles, which are like bizarre-looking animals. As
They have like
call
the
it.
pig snouts,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Right. They're I believe their heads do not go in their shells. Right. They're
No.
just like sort of they're weird, like amorphous looking, and
Yeah, they are weird.
slimy looking, and so like a big pile of them that's like a humanoid shape, just like going around. Like a big old kaiju, eating people up and fucking them up. I love that so
Forming
much.
up like Voltron.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's Godzilla's one of his kaiju is a giant turtle, isn't it?
No, it's not Godzilla. It's a
Gamora,
contemporary. It's a contemporary of Godzilla. So it's like a rival series. Gamera.
Gamera.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sodom and Gomorrah,
like a giant
Godzilla
turtle.
and Gamera.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right next door for me.
Godzilla's the sexiest of all the kaijus.
I like Mothra.
Well, I don't know. Those are fighting words.
Yeah, I like Mothra too. I was gonna say Mothra. Yeah.
Really, Mothra?
Mothra comes with the singing
Yeah,
twins, and it's the kaiju most resembling of Mothman.
Thank
There you
you.
go.
And
All right.
Mothman.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Mothman really gets me heated up.
That's a topic I would love to cover on this show. BT Dubs.
Someday.
Yeah,
I
we'll
think
do
we
a
should-
Mothman
We'll go
eventually.
find him.
Try and summon him.
Yeah.
All right, Mitch, take
down.
us home.
All right.
Our
so,
resident Japanese expert.
Look at this guy. He's got his black book and everything.
so I got a tome of
He's got
arcane
Bruce Lee on
lore
his shirt.
that that I was gifted to many years ago by a neighbor that is no longer with us. So the story
you got a
that
dead
I'm
man's book.
essentially yes
is he
for
haunting that
maximum
book?
spook value. So the story I will be sharing with you today is called The Wife's Revenge, and it's got some nice artwork that I'm going to show you guys.
Oh yeah, that's wicked spooky. I love it.
Okay, so without further ado, in Japan, there once lived a man who, by his vicious actions, made his wife into a ghost. The man's name was Iamon. His wife was Oiwa, and his motive was that he desired another woman. Oiwa, barely risen from childbed, was given poison by her husband, which caused her hair to fall out in bloody handfuls, her eyes to start from their sockets, and her pretty mouth to blacken. All through this ordeal, Iamon snared, then he thrust her from him. In despair, she killed herself and her infant. Iamon felt no remorse. Now he was free to do as he wished, or so he thought. He soon found that his deed had a terrifying price. With a ghoul's fury, Oiwa appeared to him everywhere. If he sought peace in a tea house, the lanterns, gaily painted in human likeness, assumed the staring eyes of Oiwa, and mouthed curses at him. If he walked in the garden, he would find her there. So here's some nice artwork. So over here you can kind of see like the lantern, and then there she is walking in the garden.
There's something about Japanese art, like they draw the eyes so creepy.
Yeah.
It's like that lantern's eyes are very creepy. Dead eyes.
There's also something about Mitch
And she would be
reading me a
walking
book
with her
and showing me
infant.
The pictures.
Her bitter accusations ceaselessly sounded in his ears. Defiant, Iamon married his paramour, thinking that the ghost might realize the futility of further haunting. But when he lifted his lover's bridal veil over their wedding, the face looking back at him was Oiwa's. Howling, he drew his sword and beheaded the specter. And then Iamon discovered Oiwa's final revenge. He had murdered his bride, not the ghost. So
Hell yeah.
here you have him at his wedding drawing his sword. There's his bride, and then there's the ghost with her, her hair's falling out and her spooky mouth. And
Her head's still attached though.
yes, well, he hasn't cut it down yet, right? So,
Oh look,
No.
yeah. Oh, what?
It looked like he was at the end of his swing. It might have just been a clean cut. It hadn't slid off.
No.
his
He's
wife's
not
head
at the end of his swing, because if you look, right, because the Japanese have an eye for detail, right, is that the you can make out the bladed part of his katana is downward facing, so he's going with like an upward strike.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Brutal.
So, which brings me, so that's the end of this short story, but the interesting thing about this story and many others is that a lot of Japanese ghosts seem to be women. You don't really find a lot of stories about male Japanese ghosts. I mean, there are some, granted, but a lot of the times, the most famous ones, like for instance, The Girl in the Well, is about a woman. This one is about a woman. There's another rather well-known ghost in Japan that's called the Yuki no Onna, which it translates to like the Snow Maiden. And that is a ghost of winter who is also a woman. If you recall, when we were talking about the Dragon's Triangle, I told you that story about how the fishermen out in the Dragon's Triangle would report seeing a ghostly woman tending a ship. So, in a way, I think there's something that's interesting about that, in that there's such a cultural thing associated with the ghost of women in Japan. And I really don't know what to make of that at the end of the day, but it's just an interesting anecdote that I found with those stories.
I make of it.
Oh ho.
I think we need to smash the ghost matriarchy.
I'm all for it.
Let's all commit suicide right now. Together.
Seppuku?
Male
Sudoku.
ghosts.
Sudoku, yes.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
commit Sudoku.
Yeah. Let's solve a complicated number puzzle and give me a migraine for multiple days.
Mitch, do you think that has to do with just the hierarchy of like Japanese like just
I
kinda
think
how
I think it
women
might.
were-
I think it might. But the
subservient?
interesting thing is, as someone who's studied a lot of Japanese history and also a lot of Chinese history, is China was far more patriarchal than Japan at the time, but you don't really see nearly the same amount of, like in Chinese ghosts, there's a lot more of an equal distribution, whereas due to Confucianism and the patriarchal system ingrained in that, whereas with Japan you see an overemphasis on female ghosts, which again I don't know what quite to make of that, but it's interesting, and it still continues to this day, because I think I was telling you guys about the I'm blanking on her name, but there's a Japanese ghost that modern day ghost that you supposedly can encounter in Japan, and she wears a surgical mask, and she was a essentially, the story goes that she was like the bride of either a samurai or of a businessman who thought she was being unfaithful, so he cut her mouth up and killed her. And what'll happen supposedly is, on the streets of Japan, when you're all alone, when you turn that corner and go down like that, when you're trying to cut through the street, turn down that corner, go down that alleyway that you're not supposed to be in, or maybe it's like late in the day and the streets aren't that busy, this ghost will approach you, especially if you're a male, and she'll ask you if you find her attractive, right? And she'll have her mask
I
on.
remember this.
Right. And then you'll answer like yes or no. If you answer no, we'll save that for a little bit. But if you answer yes, then what she'll do is she'll take her surgical mask off to show you her brutally scarred, cut open mouth, and she'll ask, you again, do you find me attractive? And if you answer no, or if you answer yes to either question, she'll kill you, because if you answer yes, she'll think that you're lying, and if you answer no, then you're telling her that she's ugly. She's
you're
offended.
offending
Yeah,
her.
exactly, right?
But
So
there's very specific ways she kills you, though.
yeah, so
We're
she
gonna get into
kills
that.
you with a
Okay.
pair of scissors, which supposedly is the same instrument that was used to scar her mouth. So, apparently, this is kind of going along the lines of like what Mike said, where, you got these tricky ghosts, like ones who want you to take your ghost protection amulet off, right? Or here's a ghost that's pretty much asking you a question where there's no right answer, right? Mm-hmm. So, apparently, the way to save yourself from this ghost, should you ever encounter it. So listen up, people, if you ever plan on traveling to Japan, because this is useful information. Supposedly, the way to save yourself from this ghost is when she asks if you find her attractive, you don't give her a straight answer. You have to answer something like, well, maybe, or...
Yeah, or what is attractiveness?
Yeah, what actually is attractiveness these days? Or
Yeah,
give her something sort of like a, sort of, or, something like that. So you kind of got to like beat around the bush in order to get yourself to safety.
Yeah.
So
it also says you can distract her with money and hard candies. Too,
Oh.
I'm reading.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
interesting.
I would be distracted by that as well. So
I was gonna say,
Me
sounds
too.
a lot like Mitch.
yeah.
By the way, the name is Kuchisake Ona.
Kuchisake Ona. Yes.
Well
okay,
done.
there you go.
Yeah. The slit-mouthed woman.
Yep, the slip-mouthed woman.
That is that story's awesome.
Yeah.
it's super spooky. If you go on the Wikipedia page, there's a conversation diagram of the way the conversation can go with her.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of funny to look at. If you guys check it out, it's small. It's only a couple yes or no answers, but
And is that
it's
where
pretty interesting. It's cool.
the thrash band got its name?
Who? Chelsea Grin?
No, Slipmouth.
Slipmouth?
Yeah, that's a long way to go,
Somebody
but
wants-
Oh my god.
Is how old is this story, man? You said it's more modern.
It's a
right?
more modern tale, but it has elements, though, like if you think about it, of all the other kind of stuff that we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
Kind of showing how all that is still very, very common in Japanese urban legend and stuff like that, because you have the ghost of, a disgraced woman, kind of like, who was betrayed by her husband, kind of, or her potential lover, like in Jarvis's story or mine, right? You have the trickster nature of it, which is similar to Mike's stories, right? And then you even have that association with the object, with a pair of scissors, for instance, and the surgical mask, like you have with the spirit tools that John was talking about. So you can kind of see how all these ideas kind of start to come full circle, even to this day, in a lot of these stories.
And there's a couple different ways you could take the male-female thing, because if the ghost stories are on some level supposed to be like a cautionary tale, or to keep you from doing a certain behavior or engaging in a certain activity, then the proclivity of them to put a scorned female in the role of the ghost might be, like in a glass half full view, a way to keep guys from being douchebags. Even if it's just out of fear. If you want someone to behave, keep them afraid. You'd be like, I'm not going to kill my wife and child because she might be a girl. Rather than just doing it for
My
good reasons.
fucking wife.
Now, go for it.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Mike?
I love you. Go for
Oh,
it.
I was gonna say, so is the Chelsea Grin affiliated with this, or is that something?
Yeah, so
completely
the
separate?
Chelsea Grin is
or the Glasgow Smile.
yeah,
I
the
guess
Glasgow
for it.
Smile is it's all the same thing. It's just different terms for like the same thing.
Okay.
That's been like a torture or execution method where they cut your from ear to ear for like
Black
hundreds
Dahlia.
of thousands. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? They call it the Black
The
Dahlia Smile.
Joker.
Yep, exactly.
The Latin Kings out in Springfield, Mass. That's their initiation every Halloween. Is they cut a smile into someone's face. That's how they get initiated into the Latin Kings.
Yeah.
Which is truly terrifying, and you should never visit Springfield because that city sucks.
Yeah. It's
How many
Glowing
people
review.
with cut open faces?
Yeah. Don't go to
are-
Springfield. Not even for the casino. The casino sucks too. But anyways,
How many people with cut
I
open
digress.
faces are in Massachusetts?
I don't know.
It's actually up to 6% now. 6% of the population.
Because that sounds like you know what I mean? That sounds like
It
if
does.
someone flashes you their headlights, don't flash back. Or if they have their,
Because it's a
you know,
gang
because it might be a gang
initiation.
and you would think
It
that
very-
if that's
very
their
well could
initiation,
be.
if the initiation is the cutting the face, you're at least going to have a bunch of Joker murders that we would have heard about.
Well,
or there's recovered people with smiley
with the
faces.
Yep.
What's that actor from Sons of Anarchy? He has a Glasgow smile.
Oh, I don't remember his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, the Scottish. He's a Scottish dude.
Yep.
Tommy Flanagan.
Yeah, interestingly
Yeah, he's got a
Scottish.
Chelsea grin.
No way.
Yeah.
Wonder if he got it in Glasgow.
Or in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Oh, he could have got it there too while on vacation. Man, imagine that though. Like you have this horrific scar that's named after your country of origin, and you don't even get it in your country of origin. Poor guy.
Yeah, that would suck.
No, I mean, imagine going to fucking Springfield on vacation from somewhere in Europe, and then that's what happens.
Whoever told you to go to Springfield, Mass,
Yeah.
should get a Chelsea grin.
We were going to Salem for Halloween, and then next thing I know, we stopped for gas in Springfield, and a bunch of kids came up to me and cut my mouth open. Fuck.
Oh my god, that's brutal. That is a
Yeah,
very
it's intense.
brutal. Yeah, it's like,
Wait, Tommy Flanagan, the jazz pianist?
No.
Sons
No,
of
he's a
Anarchy.
Scottish actor.
Yeah.
He was in Sons of Anarchy and Gladiator, Braveheart. He was also
Yep.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I forgot
Guardian.
he was in that.
he was in Guardians 2.
That's right. Yeah, he's one of the Reapers, right? Or is that their? No, the Reavers.
Reavers, yeah.
Reavers. Yeah, his is very prominent scar on his face. Although it doesn't do like the typical smile that you see like on the Joker or anything. It's more of like a cut from like, I'm looking at it now, it's from like his top of his sinus all the way down to like the corner of his jawbone.
Yeah.
Wow, it is a Glasgow smile. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brutal, dude.
That's crazy. I got I have a Glasgow like grin. No.
Glasgow grin, yeah.
So that's-
Glasgow wink almost. but
Glasgow
yeah, it's
smirk.
You got
South of
it?
a wink.
Just because you got it from kissing Scottish guys doesn't make it a Glasgow.
So it would be a. I either got to name it for New Hampshire or for Ireland. So it's I got a Dublin dinger.
Oh, it's a good one. Fuck. So I think that's it, right? Is that all our Japanese ghost stories? That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm liking this theme of like going into Japan a little bit. The last couple episodes we've done, they've been pretty interesting. And I feel like we can connect, like all of our stories, we can somehow connect to something we've heard in popular culture at some point. You know, like it's just crazy. These things have been around for so long, and we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
I
For
got
sure,
an
for sure.
I got an
Pretty
idea.
fascinating.
I got an idea for next time.
Go ahead. What is it?
Do you guys
Well, do
want
we
to
want to
say?
let our viewers know?
Yeah, you said this to me before, and it worked out great.
Okay.
Son of a bitch!
All
I'm
right.
trying to give the people a little behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So like it's a big fucking secret. Jesus
Maybe one day
Christ.
we'll start recording our little pre-pro meetings so that we can put them on as like side episodes because those,
Yeah,
those
let's
actually
record-
turn out to be very funny.
Yeah.
Let's record everything.
Yeah, I think we should. But what were you gonna say, Mike? Sorry, I interrupted.
You want to do kaiju's, babies?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a great idea. Let's keep
I'd
the
love to.
Japanese train rolling. Yeah, I'm into that. I'm super into that. So you heard.
Aren't
it
you
here
glad I
first
told
from-
you instead of
from
like
Mike Holmes.
behind the scenes? You son of a bitch! You got hot.
Yes,
It's hot, and I
yes.
get honest reaction. This is it. It's the way to
I'm
do
into
it.
it. I think kaiju's are really fucking cool. So I'd love to go deep. Now, do we need to limit it just to Japanese kaiju? Because there are.
Yeah, do
there
you
have
want to
been
do
American
stories of
kaiju.
giant monsters in general?
Yeah, but let's use kaiju because it's such a
Yeah.
great word. I love
Well,
that
also
word.
great jumping off point too, because that's probably what people are most familiar with.
Absolutely. Yep. Especially with Pacific Rim coming out and still kind of making kaiju like a word in the zeitgeist again.
Yeah.
I didn't. There are other places that have giant, like Godzilla-sized monsters besides Japan.
Well, it's kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
kaiju has become the term for giant monsters at this point.
I don't
yeah,
know
there
that I
are-
can think of any others. So awesome!
Yeah, I can't think of any at the top of my head either, but
I'm ready
I mean,
to learn.
Cthulhu could be considered a kaiju. He's a giant monster.
Oh. All right.
When you start looking
So
into,
you guys want to next week?
yeah,
Did you just summon Shogoth with?
I mean, we can if you want.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Alright.
I think that's a great idea for next show,
Yeah.
next episode.
Mitch is
down.
never.
But that was
gonna-
fun.
He's terrified.
what? What?
I like the idea of you being terrified by me doing that and never wanting to do it. You're like, guys, I can't make it next week.
Yeah.
Mike has been speaking in tongue. I think he's. But yeah, that's a great idea. And Japanese Ghost was very fun. I hope you guys had fun. I hope people had fun listening too. If there's any, I feel like we could actually, there could be like another Japanese Ghost episode we could do in the future. And if anyone's listening to this right now, if you have any stories that we didn't even poke at.
Yeah, what's your favorite Japanese
send 'em
ghost
our
story?
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it. We'd love to dive deeper in because I mean we're only scratching the surface here. I mean we're talking about thousands of years of culture on that tiny island, and this we can't possibly cover it all in one episode. So if anyone's listening and has any ideas, please email us. What's the email, Mike?
BeastyBoysParanormal@gmail.com.
Yeah, fire us an
sound right?
email and let us know,
BEASTY.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
we
yeah.
like it.
Right.
Cool. Well, that was fun, boys. Any last
Thank you.
last efforts out there? Anyone to throw out there? You guys got any? Yeah.
You know,
No.
I
got
can't wait to
nothing.
talk about the Steven Spielberg-backed film "When a Monster Calls," starring Liam Neeson, the next episode. So,
is that new?
Dirt
You
here.
guys.
Dirt here. 40 meters.
I have questions.
okay, questions for after the pod. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Bye.